welcome everybody to this year's shareholder event of Smartphone. As you all know, Smartphone from day one aimed to be technological leaders in the globe. In the first few years, we managed to become technological leaders in the smartphone industry, as we were the first company to produce Tech 2 and Tech 3 phones. Our competitors were still lagging behind with Tech 1 phones. We quickly found out, though, that this segment of the market became oversaturated after a while. The year after, we developed our Tech 2 and Tech 3 phones. Suddenly, every other company had this technology. We quickly found out that this market became too saturated and therefore moved to a different market segment. We reduced our prices, which led to more people accessing our phones. Our goal was always to give people amazing tools to produce wonderful things. We lost the premium price tag, but we didn't lose the premium feel. We got a new benefit from reducing our prices, and that was that more and more people could use our technology. We had the ability to change the world. We were able to give our phones to more people around the globe than we could have ever imagined. And finally, consumers from all over the globe, from all continents, love their products. We managed to outcompete our competitors for a vast majority of the lifespan of this industry. Even though that this industry is still a young and developing industry, we became number one in a very short time. And even though the sales have been reduced the last few years, I would say that this is not the end of our company, their shareholder, as there are many more amazing things that our company will bring to you in the future.
As we have explained earlier, our beginning strategy was to become a premium brand. Our focus was on boosting technological advancement and therewith gain a competitive advantage over other companies. In order to realize this technological advantage, we were putting a lot of focus on our R&D department and the quality of the appointed staff for this department. After the first 4 rounds, we were second in terms of revenue with 2.76 million. This was mainly due to our focus for Tech 3 in the Asian market, and the third year we were the only supplier of this type of technology. However, because we were very excited about the big market shares, we added more features to stay ahead of the competition. However, we ended year 4 with a loss of almost 900,000 due to the fact that the demand for advanced technology wasn't as big as we thought it would be. We have learned that we were too heavily focused on creating premium products for our customers. Therefore, we decided to change up our strategy and continue our changes we made around 4. We decided to reduce the number of features, and by doing this we hope to have quick profits due to low prices. The changes in strategy weren't as effective as we thought they would be. Our revenue grew a lot, but our profit margins were too small to make any profit. Also, our feature costs remained high even though we lowered the number of features for our phones. We also found out our R&D costs were still too high compared to the gains we made from this.
Our final strategy is based on the year 9 to the year 12. The objective of the earliest rounds was to lower our financing expenses. So for these rounds, we decided to reduce the R&D department by 0 and not spend any money on it. Also, we took the decisions to reduce the staff. It worked for the round 9 to 10. We had a result of 3.93 million in terms of sales revenue. And in comparison, our sales revenue for round 9 was equal to 2.45 million. In addition to this, we will we will try to cut our cost for the R&D department, which caused unnecessary costs in previous rounds. We also agreed to make efforts for the reduction of our financing expenses, since they are currently our biggest cost. The cause of this high amount of debt is that we made too many losses in earlier rounds, and we were too late with paying off debt to prevent this high cost in the future. Our reflection on this final strategy is that we made big mistakes, which caused our disaster in regards to the competitors. We lost the part we succeeded in winning due to our decisions. At the end of the game, our sales revenue was equal to 2.3 million, but with a negative profits equal to more than 1 million. We were able to reduce costs in some sections where it was possible. However, in the last rounds, we were not able to reduce our debt, and therefore our improvement on other aspects did not have enough effect.
Our team consists of 5 people from different countries, time zone, and even different ages. In fact, Max and Roy is from the Netherlands, I am from Russia, Oregon is from France, and Felice is from Ghana. That game was a very good chance for each of us to share our experience, knowledge, and views. As it has been said earlier, there existed several time zones. We had to take that into consideration to create the best cooperation. Everybody tried to do their best to participate at the meetings. But sometimes it was difficult, and not all the members of the team could participate at the meetings. It led to the meetings with only 2 or 3 people that had to make the decisions. Concerning the meetings, everything was going very well. They were very interesting and productive, as each participant tried to share their opinions and to make a contribution to the final decision. It turned out that some members of the team proved to be leaders, while others were not so involved. That is a common problem of teamwork, but still our group did great, and each of us contributed something to the final result.
Hello everyone, Memahom Aji. This means good evening in Akan language in Ghana. My name is Phyllis Plange and I am the Chief Financial Officer of Smartphone from the Grey Universe 1 team. My team comprises amazing persons of Max and Edroy from the Netherlands, Regina from Russia and Oregon from France. It's been an exciting experience learning and interacting with participants across the continent in the Cesim business simulation game. My team and I had to make complex decisions which managers face every day in the day-to-day course of working in the business world. We are faced with where we had to make technical decisions that could influence our profits and influence our performance as a business in the telecommunications industry. It's been an amazing journey throughout all the rounds where we forgot to make submissions, the rounds we made submissions, the rounds which we won and those that we didn't, the rounds where we were all objecting to some decisions and we had to reach a consensus. It was well all for our good. I've learned how to improve my communicating skills, my interpersonal relation skills, my thinking abilities, and how to be held accountable for my actions. Through this business challenge game, we have learned how to interact with other people from across the globe. I do hope that this initiative continues because it's very educative, wonderful, and exciting. Thank you.
As Phyllis already mentioned, this game was really interesting as we got the opportunity to work in an international team, something that maybe all of us will do in the future, but something that we didn't have experience in yet. However, when working in a professional team in the future, we might have potential improvement points that we learned during this game. Firstly, it was difficult to set up a time in which everybody could meet, as everybody lived in a different time zone. For instance, somebody had to go to work, somebody had to go to class, and somebody had football training, something that we all had to take into consideration. And I believe that in the future, when we want to work in an international team, it is best to have one specific time per week in which you meet. Secondly, there were a lot of cultural differences in play during this game. A lot of these cultural differences we didn't notice because they're so minor, and we believe that these were more personal traits instead of cultural traits. For instance, Phyllis sometimes had internet problems or Wi-Fi problems, meaning that she couldn't attend some meetings. That's something that we didn't take into consideration when meeting. And thirdly, it was important to communicate frequently. That's something that we lacked during the game, as we only had meetings once a week, and during that week we didn't communicate with each other about decisions, about the results. We only did that once per week, and if you work in a professional setting, it's vital to talk about this frequently. As already mentioned, there are a lot of cultural and ethical challenges that we faced. Firstly, the main ethical dilemma that we faced were the cultural differences. As everybody had different cultures, everybody had different ways of working, and sometimes that clashed. It wasn't really a clash, but more about difficulties in working together. Secondly, I would say that language differences were minor, but I heard from other teams that they had really big language differences, and sometimes other people couldn't understand each other. Thirdly, misconceptions. There were a lot of misconceptions during the game. These were mostly linked by cultural differences. As already mentioned, everybody had a different culture, and therefore other interpretations of a sentence or how they acted. And lastly, something more specific about the game is that we didn't have real openness towards the shareholders. We had losses in the first few years, but during the game we mentioned to the shareholders that we were doing great to attract as many shareholders as possible, but that's an ethical issue, as if a company does it in real life, they get sued or they may get in trouble. So if you want to have a company in future, that's something that we will want to avoid. Thank you all for listening to this presentation, and I hope that you all learned something from this. If you get chosen for next year's game, I would say that teamwork is everything, that you should take the cultural differences into consideration. So if somebody acts up, or if somebody doesn't talk, these are all cultural differences. And lastly, stick with the plan, get one specific time which the entire team meets, and meet every week or as frequently as possible.